We both had daughters around the same age and started getting to know each other. And Alexis was actually my photographer for my wedding, which she did very kindly because she was amazing at it. So I really want to thank her for being here tonight. One of the things that I love about Alexis is she's not only a mompreneur and an artist, but she's figured out to make a living pursuing her passion, which is art. How many people can say that they actually pursue something like that and have created a career and a business out of it? The other thing that I think is incredible about Alexis is she has suffered some unimaginable loss. Alexis has lost a child and she's managed to take that horrible tragedy and turn it into an incredible experience. She's written books, she's done art, and now she's created a documentary, Expecting Sunshine, that I believe inspires women that are going through something similar and has done an amazing job of helping us all come to our own peace. So without further ado, my friend Alexis from Chute.
Hello. Okay, we're going to test this. If anyone can hear me, cannot hear me, if you can wave. This is not going to stay there. There we go. Can you hear me at the far reaches? Yes. Can you hear me down all the way there? Okay, perfect. So that was a lovely introduction. Thank you so much. I am beyond honored to be here. I feel immensely humbled, actually, at this exact moment. So I do have to take it to a different level. Who here knows the rules of hockey? Put your hand up. The rules of hockey. The rules of hockey. Okay. Okay, well, I'm just going to say I need at least one of you to sit beside me at the hockey game because I don't know the rules of hockey. I know that the black thing goes in the woven, netted white thing, and beyond that, we will figure it out as we go. But this leads me to think about how do we learn things. So for those who know the rules of hockey, did you learn through playing? Did you learn through watching it on TV or having a family member or a friend kind of hash it out to you like this is how, this is what this red line means, the blue line, I don't even know what is on the ice. Anyway, this brings me to how my origins of how I became a business person, how I learned what on earth it is, this thing that we do that keeps us up at night. I learned it, business, since I was, wearing diapers probably. My mom has always been a businesswoman, and she is my inspiration. She's taught me not only about business, but also about motherhood. And being an only child, I don't really know much about motherhood, which came in handy when I became a mother, because I think there's no guidebook for many of these things, motherhood, business. So for me, I grew up watching my mom, a single parent for many years, work her way up from picking beans for the summer in the Okanagan and having the farmer take off, and she didn't get paid. She started working at CIBC in the mailroom without a post-secondary education, and she worked her way up to being vice president before she retired from that. And so to me, she is one of those amazing women. And so when I was 8 years old and I wanted to make applesauce and put it in our wheelbarrow and go door to door, she was very supportive. I had many strange businesses as a child, but I was hooked. And I'm sure that all of you ladies here are hooked in the same way, and it is a passion and a joy to work so hard. So when I was contemplating having children, I really did. I envisioned kind of like having a baby on the hip, typing on the phone, totally in control, being a merger of work from home, not having to give up anything in my professional life by having children. And boy, was I delusional. I quickly learned that even though I thought I had everything under control and I had this vision of what I thought my life was gonna be like, stuff does not always turn out according to our plans. And I think that one of the best pieces of advice I've ever received is just to go with the flow, to say yes to life. When doors open, go through them. When they close, be grateful, because maybe you didn't want that opportunity anyways. It'll leave space for something better. So my first pregnancy and birth was both wonderful and torturous, but I got through. I figured out, okay, maybe I didn't have mom nurture like an older or younger sibling. I didn't have that kind of example, but you know what, maybe I can do this business and mother thing at the same time. And I'm like, you know what, my kid's sleeping through the night, let's have another one. That kind of began the trajectory of my life to where I am now. And I would have to say that I'm a very drastically different person since my second child was born. But at the same time, I think that that season of life is an incredible gift. So let me explain. So my second pregnancy was progressing normally, but we found out that my unborn child had a large tumor around his heart, and he was not going to live past the womb. And this was a devastating shock, and it wasn't in that life plan. The one that I sat down on thinking, all right, get married, check, have the baby, check, get the house, check. I had never heard of people who had lost babies. None of my close friends were talking about it. And when my son passed away in my arms, I felt like I was the ultimate failure as a woman and a mother, as a human being. And I was so ashamed. And I remember waiting for my husband to pick me up at the hospital, feeling incredibly alone. And I didn't talk about it for a long time. I call that year after my son passed away my year of distraction, because in that year I did everything but face the reality of my loss. And I did. I worked like a maniac. I photographed many weddings. I filled up as much time as I could, so I didn't have time to be alone and to reflect on what had happened to me and where I was going. It was only when I got pregnant again with my third child, who is now 5 years old, that I stopped and I was like, if I don't face this head on, I am going to carry this as a heavy burden. I could picture it like a monster on my shoulder, just like weighing me down for the rest of my life. And I didn't want that for myself, and I didn't want that for my family. So taking this back to the world of business for 1 second, I had such a vision for my life as an artist and a writer, but I didn't know what was my message, right? If you take any kind of business class, it's like, what is your unique selling proposition? What do you have to say to the world that is different from everyone else, that only you can say it? And up until I lost Zachary, maybe I made great art, but it didn't mean anything. And so through my loss, I learned, and this was not instant. This took a lot of time and patience and support from family and friends. But I got to the point where I found my voice as a woman, as a mother, a human being, an artist and a writer. And it all centers back to two things. Number one, the power of storytelling. And you can translate this kind of idea into your marketing, like anything you do. The power of storytelling is so pervasive. Our culture, right from the time we're little children, we love listening to our parents tell stories about when they were little, or grandma, when I was a kid, I used to walk uphill both ways to school, right? And we love listening to stories. And so storytelling has become such an important theme for me in my work, because after my loss, no one was talking about it. And it took such immense courage and kahunas to open up and say, like, people, in the grocery store, oh, look at your daughter, she's so cute. Are you gonna have another baby? And I'm like, well, actually, I did have another baby. Oh, where is that kid? And you know what? It took getting to the point where I was comfortable saying, you know what, my son passed away, but he still lives with me in my heart, or whatever, in the heaven. I haven't figured out quite what I believe in that regard. But the power of storytelling, I began to see that as I opened up, other people opened up. It was an invitation, and all of a sudden, I was having meaningful conversations in the grocery store, meaningful conversations that made a difference, and you connect with somebody on a different level. So storytelling, number one, is so pivotal. And number two, oh my gosh, I just had a brain blank. Number two, oh yes, this is a good one. I totally forgot. Resiliency of the human spirit. This is something that has come into my work. So Zachary, he helped me figure out my voice, and part of that is my passion for the resiliency of the human spirit. And what that looks like so practically is no matter what we've been through, it is the desire to roll out of bed every morning, put our pant legs on one at a time, pour our cereal, eat, and to live and to desire better for our lives, for our businesses, for our families. That resiliency is so incredible. And so for me, I eventually got to the point where I'm like, hey, maybe I'll write a book about my experience. Well, writing the book, you will quickly realize if you're writing a book, is like one tiny, tiny fraction of such a big process. So after I had penned the book, I edited it, I thought, oh, I need to make this fly out into the world. So I sent out letters to 37 different book agents, and I had 0 take a risk on me. I finally had one agent take me on as a favor to a mutual friend. And he pitched my book, Expecting Sunshine, the story of regaining joy and hope and love after loss, to all the big publishers. And he forwarded me the responses. And they said, beautiful writing, moving story, but the topic, it is too risky for us. And I thought, the statistics around miscarriage and stillbirth, they are staggering. And I know that people are not talking about this, and we need to be. We need to be breaking taboos, and not just on this topic, but so many topics. And so the agent dropped me. It was like a bad breakup. And I said, you know what? Again, this is something that I think you need to develop. It's kind of a, there's no kids here, right? The fuck you attitude. You don't think I can do it? Watch me. Watch me. And I have really developed that attitude in everything. So the rejection letters, they may come. I will eat them for dinner because you know what? You don't think I can do it? I am going to show you. So I eventually found a women's publisher who focuses on telling women's stories. It was a good combination, and that's where Expecting Sunshine actually jumped into the world. And since then, I've been traveling. The book came out last April. I've been traveling the world, and not just with the book, but I'm one of those crazy people. I think we all need to be a little crazy like me. I'm going to promote my version of crazy. So I decided, okay, well, I might want to just make a documentary film about this. I have never made a film before, but it can't be that hard, right? So I wrangled up a volunteer crew. There was like 5 or 6 of us. I traveled around North America interviewing people. I learned that my camera was crap. And one of the first expenses was buying an actual video camera. But it has become something that is now being screened around the world and winning different kinds of awards. And I have to credit so many of the YouTube videos of like how to film, how to position a person in an interview. But I would really say that like one of the best pieces of advice I've ever received was do things before you're ready. And I know this is not new, but you just have to say yes. When something comes, say yes and then go home and like watch YouTube, right? Figure it out as you go. Anyway, and so my story has evolved to now I have a new book coming out. It's called Above the Star, which is the first in a fantasy trilogy, which is one early critic has just called it A Wrinkle in Time meets The Princess Bride. So there you go. If you like that, that kind of combination, which made my heart swoon when I read that. The book doesn't come out till June, but I do have advanced reader copies. I have 10 in book boxes here. These are ones that are only given out to magazines because the book actually doesn't come out till June. So if you want to read this before everybody else does, you can come talk to me after. Basically, I really want to be a light in everything that I do, and I'm so grateful to be here, and I'm just going to flip my page and remind myself what I was going to say. Coming back to my mom, that's right. I'm sorry, I'm incredibly forgetful. So I may not have watched my mom be like a super, role model as a mother, but she was a super role model for not giving up, hard work, determination at all costs. And so I encourage you to find your voice and to never stop talking. Okay, thank you so much, ladies, and have a wonderful, blissful night. Take care.